So I said to my husband, I was like, if we stay in this neighborhood, we won't see the value that other people are seeing in an uprise and uptick in their homes, because I started doing comparisons. I started going on Zillow and I started researching different neighborhoods. And I saw when the house market bounced back, it was more of some neighborhoods literally like had like a 10% gain when our neighborhood was like stagnant. It was still below the cost that we pay for the home. And I was like, something's not right. And then I started doing more research and I started seeing like there were numbers tied to schools. And the schools on Zillow had, I think it was called Great Schools. They assessed schools and gave them a number and assigned a number to the elementary, the middle school, New York, as we say, junior high, and the high schools, right? So there was a number between 1 and 10. And the lower you are on the scale, the lower that neighborhood was valued. And I noticed that the schools that were not 8, 9s, and 10s, even 7s, their home values were going up. So I'm like, something's not making sense. So the more I dug, the more I started understanding that not every home and neighborhood are equal the same. They don't all go up in the same trajectory. They all can vary in how the values increase. Okay. Now, I know we're in a different climate where home values are at its all-time high, but back in 2009 and 2014, we were still in a space of like home values going up, but it did not look the way it looked today. Okay. So in seeing the results from the research that I did and understanding that we wanted more for our family, right? We wanted to grow our net worth. We wanted to increase our investments even more. We wanted to make sure that we were invested in things that yields a high return. And at that time, that home did not. So I said to my husband, I was like, we need to, find another neighborhood. And it happened the next year, unexpectedly. There's alignment. That might be a different story, because it was when my husband became in alignment, we both were in agreement with moving, that it literally transpired, transformed in front of our own eyes. And it was such an easy process, which is why I knew it was God's timing for us to leave. Fast forward, the home that we live in has multiplied and more than doubled, where it is added to our net worth. So I did want to stop and, give some context behind the word net worth, because a lot of people don't even think about calculating their finances. They don't even think about seeing where they are financially. They don't even think about what it would take for them to, increase their investments and be able to live a debt-free life and financial freedom when they retire. So you have to jump timelines and think forward into what would life look like when I'm in my 40s, or we were in our 20s, our early 30s at the time. So I had to think about 40s, 50s, 60s. Okay. So what will life look like in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years for you? Where do you want to be in that time? And how far are you from that timeline? And what instruments do you need to put in place to ensure that you're not struggling in 10, 20, 30, and 40 years? Okay. And that was my mindset. I knew that there was a certain number that I wanted us to hit at a certain age.